Hey, welcome back. Today we are having some fun on the 440 project. I am putting the piston and ring assemblies and rod assemblies into the engine block. So it's starting to look like a real engine, and I'll walk you through the process on a pair of pistons. Previous video we covered how to gap the rings and how to put those on the pistons. And yeah, let me walk you through this and get started. First thing, as always, is to get everything clean, and then we're going to start with lubricating everything. First thing I want to do is let's check the crankshaft. You want to make sure your crank is all the way, I guess, down, you'd say, away from the top of the engine as far as possible, so your connecting rods have a little bit more room to go down before they would interfere with it. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to rotate the engine around a little bit. We're actually not far from where we want to be. I'm going to go with that. That looks pretty good. All right. And then I'm going to go through, and I got this red line assembly lube. I'm going to use this to lube up the bearings and the bearing surfaces. So I'm going to start by, let me adjust the camera here a little bit. I don't know if that'll come into view. But yeah, I'm going to go down below and put a little bit of lube on this guy. Okay. Because once we come in with the connecting rod, it's going to be almost impossible to get more lube on there. So we're going to do that now. I guess we could rotate the engine around, but we can reach it pretty well just like this. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and coat the whole surface. Get everything 100% covered with this red line assembly lube. It's rated for bearings. If you're using some other type of assembly lube, I guess just make sure it's rated to be used on bearings. You don't want something, too thick that it's going to have trouble when the oil starts pumping. This stuff will probably just kind of get watered down right away. All right, so let's go back to the bench and work on the piston and rod assembly. All right. That should work. Could maybe zoom in a little bit. There we go. All right. So first thing to check, I guess, is your wrist pins. Make sure you've got some lube on those. This one looks good. They were pre-lubed when they were installed at the machine shop. They press fit the pin to the rod and put it on the piston, and they had some lube in there already. I've put a little bit more. I had this, clean little tool here, and I just came down and dabbed a little bit extra on there. A little bit extra is not going to hurt anything. Okay, make sure that that's lubricated well. You can take this cap off now and set it aside. Not snug. Okay, we'll lube that up before we put it on. And then you'll want to get some of your assembly lube. Go ahead and get that on there nice. Okay, try not to get it on these surfaces where you're going to be putting the cap on and torquing it down. But just a nice coating all the way around. You can put a little bit on the sides too. Okay, where the rod's going to run along the crank or to the adjacent, the sister piston and rod. The crankshaft on these V8s, of course, there's 4 rod journals, and they share between 1 and 2, 3 and 4 share, 5 and 6 share, and 7 and 8 share. So when you look at the engine, you can see cylinder 1. Here's 1, 3, 5, 7, and 2, 4, 6, 8. So 1 is just a little bit ahead of 2. That's usually how you tell. The furthest forward cylinder is cylinder 1, and it's basically 1 connecting rod width forward of 2 because they're, sharing on the same crank journal. 3 and 4 are the same way. 3 is just a little bit ahead of 4, basically the width of a connecting rod. So I guess that's pretty obvious, but just wanted to point that out. All right. Let's get back over here, finish lubing this up. So what we want to do here, make sure that your rings have a good amount of oil. I'm using this break-in oil, so it's got extra additives, and just make sure that you got it all along the this oil retention ring, all the way around. Make sure that thing's saturated nice. Get some on the skirts. The skirts are going to be, you know, running along the cylinder wall. Okay. And now's a good time to check and make sure that your rings, which you can put some lube on as well, that you've got the gaps where you want them. All right. So how did I have this set up? So I see here on my oil retention, it's actually scooted around a little bit. That's how easy they move. Okay. Here's one gap and here's the other on 45 degrees, basically. I'm going to take this top ring, I'm going to bring it around, put it right about here. And the bottom ring, or second ring, I should say, I'm going to have that gap like opposite of where the gaps were on this oil ring set. You know, you can put them all on 45s, you can move them around. I mean, they're going to dance around a little bit in the engine when it's running, so I don't think it's that critical of where they're at as long as they're not all lining up. So I've been consistent. I'm going to just stick with that approach there. Okay, so this is lubed up. Rings are all lubed. Piston skirts are lubed. Let's go put a little bit of oil in the cylinder as well. Use the same oil. All right, there we go. Something like that. Just a little bit. You could probably use a different type of oil if you want. If you favor WD-40 or something. I like to use the break-in oil. It has special additives, so I might as well use it. I mean, a cap full of it goes a long ways, like it can do all 8 cylinders. So you're not using a lot anyhow. Okay. That's all nice and lubricated. Get the other side as well. Okay. Nice. All right. Now let's hit the ring compressor. Everything's oiled up. All right. This tool has mine has a square drive key that goes in here. You squeeze it, this little brake, and you can loosen it up. So you want to loosen it up a bit so you can get it over those rings that are just kind of, you know, free and at their largest size right now. Okay, you're going to want to orientate it such that these little dimples are down. Okay, those are going to go against the deck of the engine. And you'll want to leave a little bit of the skirt of the piston sticking out, because that's going to help it, you know, get started and guide it into the engine. All right, so let's go ahead and make this round as we can. Come over this and swallow these rings. Okay, bring it down to maybe there. Okay, and I'm going to put a little towel under the other side of the rod just so that this thing's pretty straight. And we're going to tighten this down. Okay. Now the only trick here is you want to keep it square. It's going to tend to want to get a little bit crooked. You can just tap it back or squeeze it with your hands. Be careful, this thing's sharp as a razor. There it goes again. Okay. And you want to bring it in until it's tight up against the skirt. You'll feel when it starts to give a little resistance. You're not going to want to get too crazy with it and damage your rings, but just enough to squeeze them down. I mean, basically until the rings are just a little bit smaller than the cylinder bore. Whoops, I'm bumping the camera. Okay, so now we've got it pretty snug here on the skirt. You got a pretty even gap all the way around. Might give it just a hair more. Yep, it's pretty tight. We're going to stop there. Okay. Let's head over to the engine. All right, double check which one you have, especially if you gapped all your rings. We got number 3 here, it says. It's stamped on the side, number 3. Oh, I'm not on square on the camera, am I? Okay, so where was I? 3 here, and 3 here. All right, good. Cylinder 3 here. Arrow pointing towards the front, assuming you went with the standard orientation on the pistons. Let's go ahead and put some protectors on these rod bolts. Got new ARP rod bolts. Nice sharp threads. We don't want those gacking up the rod journal there on the crank. Let's go ahead and just put it like this and see if this shows up. Okay, this is just to guide it in there. Arrow to the front. You might have to go around and, you know, grab those little pieces of hose and make sure that it goes around either side of the journal. Looks like we're good. Okay. All right. I'm going to just use the butt of my hammer and we'll see how it goes. Back this up just a little bit. Okay. And I think I will rotate the engine so that this is vertical. And if you can still see that, we're going to go with that. All right, so make sure that this thing is sitting on here square. It looks like I've got to come my way just a little bit. Okay. Check that gap all the way around. Just a hair showing over there. It's pretty close, pretty close. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Making sure that the arrow's pointing straight over so that your connecting rod isn't angled as it goes down. Okay, and keep in mind your rings are like in the top inch of this piston. So when you're, you know, down about just over an inch, you're ready for those oil rings to be popping into the bore. All right, let's see here. Start sending it home. Okay, a little bit more. Now, oh, we're about there, a little over an inch yet. Go a little more. Okay, now we're getting close. We're getting close to where the rings are going to want to pop into the bore. So I'm going to push down on this compressor here, and I'm going to give it a couple good hard hits, try to make it go home. Now, I'm not going to crush it because, you know, if one of those rings gets stuck on the top of the deck, you don't want to damage it. So enough force to kind of drive this home in one or two hits, but not so much that you're going to break a ring if you screw it up. All right, let's see if we get lucky. Here we go. Boom. Okay. I think we're good. We're going to check the other side. Bring it around. Well, there's a lot of friction with the rings in there. It's not going to fall out. I'll come over here and take a look at it. We'll go the other way, then the camera can see it better. Let's go this way. Okay. And yeah, I might even lower this down. Okay. You can kind of see it. Maybe this angle. Yeah, like that. Okay, so we got our hoses here protecting the journal of the crank, and we're going to continue to bring that piston and rod that away. Okay, now you see how it moves nice back and forth on that wrist pin. Just make sure it doesn't hit the crank and get stuck, right? It might be just a slight bit clocked. It will straighten out when the bearing comes up and kisses the journal. Okay, yep. Okay, that's nice. Don't beat on it too much, just bring it in so it's pretty snug. Take your protectors off. Okay, whoops. Wipe them down before you use them. Next time. All right, looking good. Okay, let's pan out a little bit. And I'm gonna bring the engine around like this. Okay. And let's grab the cap. All right, so there's two things to note here with the cap. The first thing is that you need to get a little bit of that lube on it, the same Redline assembly lube that we were using. So let's go ahead and grab that. Okay, go ahead and get a moderate amount of that on there. Okay, again, you can get it on the sides where this is going to be riding up against the other rod and up against the crankshaft. Nice, okay. And then the other thing you want to do is you want to lube the ARP threads and the back sides of the nut with this special ARP Ultra Torque lubricant. So unless you're putting this together and measuring the stretch of the bolts, which is a great way to do it, but if you don't have a bolt stretch gauge or a really good way to accurately do it, this is what people are using. You put this special grease on there, which basically eliminates almost all the friction. It allows you to put it together and get an accurate torque reading. Super important to get an accurate torque reading. These are 50 foot-pounds. Stock rod bolts on a 440, I think, are 45. If you're using really heavy-duty stuff, maybe it's 55. Check the specs for whatever fastener you're using. But either way, you want to be accurate. You don't want to crush it down too much. That could damage the bearing or reduce the gap. You certainly don't want to be too loose. That could be the opposite. Too much clearance, or God forbid something come loose, during while the engine's running. So the right amount of stretch on these bolts is critical. So, get some of this lube on there. It's a little bit messy. Maybe I should be wearing gloves. I don't know. But I'll clean up right afterwards. Who knows what's in this stuff. But I'll pull up a little bit more on after I put the cap on as well as the back sides right here where this is going to be spinning against, the back side of the cap there. So let's make sure we've got some lube on that as well. Right there we go. Okay. And what you want to do is check that you've got your number here, number 3. Line that up with the number 3 here. They're stamped. Go ahead and get that started like that. Take off my fingers a little bit here. And you can tap it, back side of the hammer or what you have, but you could start running it down with the nuts, but I'm just going to give it a little tap to get it started. Okay. And now's a good time to just dab a little bit more of that special grease on there, just so you've got plenty. All right, bingo. That on there. Come on. And that guy. Okay, nice. And what I'm going to do, I think, for this video, so we just keep moving, is I'm not going to go through the torquing of these. I've just been installing them, let's say, hand tight. Obviously, I'm not going to go and forget. I'm going to come back and do that. I'll do it on video. And we'll check the side clearance, too, between the rods. Okay, so let me just snug this down. Okay. I still feel that it's moving side to side nice on the wrist pin. So we're good there. I think we're ready for the next one. All right, so set that down. We'll bring this thing back around. Okay, we'll bring that board to the top. Number 4. Well, there's only one left, so we're going to get it right. Let's see. Yeah, it says 4 on it. We're good to go. Where are we? Right there. Okay. go ahead and take that cap off. Okay, good. Make sure everything is lubed up good. I already checked the wrist pin, it was good. I actually put a little oil on this already, but I'm just gonna add a little bit more. It's not gonna hurt. Okay. Get the top ring and second ring as well. A little bit of oil on those. Gonna help them slide up and down. Okay, we're good. We got the skirts. They're looking nice on these forged pistons, sealed power. Oh yeah. Okay. We can lube up the bearing here. Might as well do them both while I've got them here. Set my assembly lube by the engine. Okay. That looks nice. Okay, we'll get this one. Okay, that's pretty decent. Hit the sides a little bit. Okay, same thing here, a little bit on the sides. Doesn't hurt. Okay, looking pretty good. Let's check our ring position. Okay, what do we got here? Having trouble finding it. There it is. Okay, so there's the these rings move really easy. Okay, so here's where the expander ring comes together, and then I've got this one here at about a 45, and this top one here, I could move it a skosh. Put it right over there, another 45. Okay, top ring there, second ring opposite where the oil groove is. I'm happy with that. Okay, time for my ring compressor. Let's grab our tool, get the brake, open her up. That should be plenty. Maybe a little too much. Okay. And set it up so the dimples are down this way. Leave a little skirt sticking out. The Department of Redundancy department. We already did this once, right? Keep that thing square. It always wants to kind of walk out a little bit. Send it back where it needs to be. Okay. Good, we're getting tight. Yep, we are tight. Check the gap. Pretty even all the way around. Okay. I think we're good. Back to the engine. Okay. Let me go up a little bit. Ooh. Something like that. All right, we'll get our protectors. I'm gonna wipe those things off a little bit. Make sure they're not any dirt on them or anything. Okay, good. Get one of those on there. This other one on here. Okay. Make sure you don't have any dust or anything on your grease before you put it together. It's good to double check it. Look in your bore, make sure there's no dust got in there. Looks like we're good. Arrow to the front. Okay, front of engine. And let's see what we get here. Carefully bring her down. See if we can get those guide hoses to cooperate. I might have to reach in down there and help it through. Okay, get the skirt started. There we go. Check your gap all the way around on your ring compressor. Looks pretty good. Okay, I think it's fine. All right, so grab your hammer and a towel if you like for a little bit of padding. Let's start working it down. Okay, we're about here. We're getting to the point where those oil rings are going to pop in. So we're going to make sure that rod's aimed right. Looks good. And I'm going to give it a little bit more force. I always hold my breath a little bit when I do this. Pushing down on the compressor. Whoop. I think we got one that might have popped out. I got a little bit of resistance, so I'm stopping. Let me give it just, oh, I can actually see. I think it popped up a little bit. Darn. Well, okay, we'll have to redo it, but that's okay. Sometimes things happen. Right there, got a ring trying to peek out. So there's a little chamfer on the top of these bores, but it's not much. So I think I'm gonna have to bring it back out and start over, but that's okay. I don't want to damage the ring, so let's see what we got. Oh, it was actually the oil expander ring popped out. Can you see that on camera? So it didn't go in clean. So I'll pull it and we'll just compress it a little bit more. Let's go back to the bench. Okay. Oh, I gotta hold the brake. I loosen it up a little bit here. Make sure I'm going the right way, geez. Okay. There we go. Maybe this thing got a little squirrely, a little sideways. I noticed that. Okay, let's just check everything over. Make sure everything's good to go. Looks fine there. Top rings didn't even get in far enough. So it just stopped right there at that bottom ring. Okay, well, let's get after it again. I'm gonna open it up just a little bit more. Keep going the wrong way. It's the only way it will go unless you hold the brake. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put a little bit more oil in here. Doesn't hurt to re-oil it. It'll help it move a little bit more smooth. Okay. Let's try that. See if we've got that big enough. I go a little bit bigger. Boom, boom, boom. Where are we? Try that. Okay, dimples down. Leaving a little bit of the skirt sticking out there. Okay. Try this again. Always when you got the camera rolling is when things happen, right? Okay. You can be going smooth all day long. You turn on a camera, shoot a video, and then something will happen. But that's okay. Earlier I was going to video, and then the neighbors started getting wild with chainsaws, and I don't know what, but it's Michigan, and it's about 50 degrees out, so people are all out doing stuff. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. Yeah, it's quite snug. All right, let's check our grease here. Getting that all gacked up, touching the towel or something. Looks fine. Okay. Let's head back over. Okay, bring this around. Well, at least we got one that went in fast. If you stuck with me this long, we're going to see if we can get this one to go. All right, so arrow facing forward. Bring that down. See if we can get the hoses to cooperate. Come on. Pretty good. If they hang up, then I can't get started. There she goes. Okay. Checking the gap. Looks good to me. All right, let's give it another go. Check the bottom. Going good. We're getting to be a little over an inch, so it's going to want to go soon. Ready? There she went. Okay. Nice. Let's bring it up like this. Move the camera so we can see what's going on here. Okay. There she comes. It's looking good. Little piece of dust there. Looks like we got good grease on it. Okay, we're gonna bring it on in. Okay, now you gotta be careful. Watch the crank, this other rod, okay? Make sure it's over all the way to the front. Give yourself as much room as you can. And because there's very little clearance there between the two. And you don't want to run your connecting rod into the crank and gack it up or something. It will tend to want to, you know, go where it needs to, but it's good to be careful. Doesn't take long to do this stuff. A few minutes here or there, a little extra care goes a long ways. You don't want a little metal burr or something like that in there. Now that piston's not going to fall out. There's a lot of friction. Okay. Go ahead and pull your hoses. Probably done with the hammer. Looks like our grease, we could add a little bit more. Either way, I got to grab the cap. All right. Got the cap. Just a little bit more in there. Whoops, got it all over the bolt. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'll grab my ARP lube. Just put a little bit just on the shaft of that bolt. Anywhere where there's friction, it's good to use this stuff. It's easier to get to here now than with the cap on. We'll come back and hit it again though. All right, I'm looking here and I see my number, number four, coming on like that. Bring it down. Let's give it a little bit of love. The back side of the hammer. Just ever so light. You don't want to push the piston on the other side away from the rod journal. That's good. Okay, Now it's time to put a little bit more of that goop on these threads. Gosh, I think I've used enough. And then on these nuts. Okay, just dab it on there. Okay. Could probably pull this camera out a little bit now. Let's see, hopefully that's better. Okay, get that started. Get that started. We're about done for what I wanted to do. I'm trying to keep these videos short. First off, so you don't fall asleep, because I'm so slow. But second, you know, just little bite-sized pieces. And we'll come back later and I'll do the torquing. I actually want to calibrate my torque wrench. It's so important that I'm going to get 2 torque wrenches and verify that I'm getting the right readings. And you know, I don't want to be off by 5 foot-pounds or something at all. It's that sensitive. Okay, so just snug that up a little bit. I'm nowhere near 50 foot-pounds. Just hand tight. But we should be good with that. All right, we can also go ahead and spin it around a little bit. Just make sure you don't have any resistance, or if you don't feel anything suspicious there. Now's the time to catch it before you would be torquing it all down. Obviously those rings are all pushing against the cylinder wall. You can feel that, but it's nice and even. I'm gonna, of course, oil everything down again. Those cylinder walls, I'll probably put a drop of oil in between each of these. We'll check clearance, we'll torque it down, and we'll catch that on another video. All right, well, thanks for sticking with me. See ya.